Hi guys, I'm Shmee and welcome back to the channel. Welcome today to Dubai, where you join me to take a look at the new Audi SQ5. Now the SQ5 has arrived as the latest newcomer in what is becoming a very hot and competitive sports SUV segment. And today I'm going to show you around the car. We'll take a walk around, talk about some of the features and details before taking it out for a first drive to see what it's like on the road, and then coming back to look at all of the ins and outs of the interior, all of the details and everything that's going on and what it's like to experience. So let's get started taking a look around the new Audi SQ5. Firstly, let's run over some of the details and numbers, the performance side of things, and of course the engine. So in the front, you now have a 3-litre turbocharged V6. The previous SQ5 was available as a petrol or a diesel. We only got the diesel version in the UK, but here we have the petrol version of the car. It's now, as I said, a turbocharged engine, so the V6T designation worn on the side flanks makes a bit more sense than the supercharged versions with the previous engine. It's quattro all-wheel drive as standard, 4-wheel drive naturally, in the small form factor SUV platform. It has 354 horsepower, 500 Newton meters of torque, so 0 to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles per hour will take 5.4 seconds, and it will go on to an electronically limited top speed of 250 kilometers an hour, 155 miles per hour. As we take a little bit more of a walk around it though, you can start to see that it's very much the familiar form factor style design from Audi. It's a design that I suppose works and people are used to, and they just gradually improve it from car to car, each new model that's released. So for example, the front grille is slightly more aggressive and larger. The single frame grille, as they're known, it heads out towards the front lights. The eyes of the car are a thing that Audi have been very distinct and impressive with in the different models that they've created. From a driving point of view, you've got an 8-speed automatic Tiptronic gearbox. It can have as an option all sorts of different aspects. For example, this car has the active air suspension. You can also have Audi's dynamic steering. You can have a sport differential option as well. But the SQ5 has a slightly different quattro setup to the other models of the Audi Q5, the regular engines we could say, in that it's slightly more sports orientated rather than locking out the power from the rear and sending more of it towards the front, as you might see in the other models. So let's have a quick glance now at the interior, open up the car, where this car's finished in a fairly safe specification, I would say, with the metallic grey paintwork and a fairly black throughout interior with a mix of different materials. You can see the leather of the seats with the diamond quilting, which has become a thing across Audi's range, a very nice thing. The seats are actually really quite comfortable and good. We've got the virtual cockpit that we're becoming familiar with the 12.3-inch digital display. I'll show you more through these aspects when we come back, but we've got some nice carbon fibre trim throughout the interior of the car as well, and the central navigation system display too. So from the outside, like I mentioned, there's not too much necessarily to show you around. If we have a quick look at the rear here, so you can see the available legroom, and up towards the top where we've got the panoramic sunroof, which is very nice. And especially out here in the heat of Dubai, you have the nice convenience feature, of course, with these cars that you can press and hold unlock on the car, and that will do the wonderful thing of opening all the windows, and also the sunroof, I notice, pops up the back of the sunroof, so I can cool the car down before I jump in a moment, because it's going to be very hot for this drive. Coming around to the back, open the tailgate, powered tailgate on this car, decent amount of luggage storage. I mean, that's absolutely critical on a car like this. You have the areas underneath with spare bits and bobs, the spare tyre in there. The seats fold in a 40-20-40 pattern. The rear shelf can be moved or removed depending how you want it, tucked away. Various options for luggage capacity, and a very square luggage space area, which is pretty compulsory for actually fitting decent amounts of kit in. And because we have the active suspension system, you can lower the rear, so you can press the button and the suspension will lower itself to make putting things in and out of the boot a little bit easier, so you can lift them over this small luggage latch at the back. I suppose one thing to note, it's not a completely flat luggage floor. It gives you extra space by dropping down, but you've got to lift things over that little rear area to get them in. But let's jump into the car, take a seat in the driver's seat here, which will be comfortable thanks to lots of ability to adjust. It's keyless system, so the key that I already showed you, which has the Audi S badge on the back, can be left where you may choose. We'll just pop it in there for the moment and start it up with the start button down here. Actually, I'll give you a listen because it sounds rather nice. You can hear the little burble and cracks and rumbles. So I'll pull the door closed just for the moment. Virtual cockpit is great. Air conditioning comes on in force. For the moment, I'll just work out how to turn this down, and this is great, by the way. I love this display in the center. They've done a very nice job with that. And as you actually touch, it detects that you're touching the button before you press it, so it lights up whichever mode you're on, which is very nice. And it also has the all-in-touch system here in the center to control the central screen, what mode you're in. So Audi Drive Select is the configurable options. We're in automatic, everything quite default at the moment. I think that's how we should get started. So let's go out for a little drive, see what the car is like. Away we go then. So let's talk a little bit about this. What's the regular Audi SQ5 buyer looking for? I mean, it's a car that's practical, a car that they can take the kids, the family, dump all the luggage in the back, use, I guess, in a way that it's going to be reliable, trustworthy. They know what to expect and what they're going to get out of it. You want to have technology, features, safety functionality, luxurious things, for example, the option to have the Bang & Olufsen sound system in here. But I would say, initially, it's very same old, if I can say that. We know it's a formula, it's following this formulaic pattern, just making sure that each model slightly refines the previous and updates it and upgrades it and brings it up to the latest spec and technology, which takes away, I think, some of the excitement. But then that's not per se what the car is for, is it? It's not trying to be this hugely over-the-top excited car. I mean, 0 to 62 miles per hour, 100 k's, just 5.4 seconds. That's really quite quick. It sounded good, and getting driving like this, the gearbox is super silky smooth. It's very clean and easy, and there's no stress at all. I think it will have, you know, the lane various guidance type things. We can put the headlights on just for a second here, but you have the great display that you can toggle through different modes, if you can see some of this on the camera, but we're very familiar with this, and you have the option to show just about everything that you could want to show in different ways, which, to be honest, is brilliant. They came up with this system, it's now implemented completely across the range, whether it's an R8 or, in this case, you know, the Q5, different options depending on countries, specifications, trims, and various setups in different places. So this car is spec'd quite nicely in terms of having some of the tech side of things. Like I mentioned, it has the active suspension, but it doesn't have the dynamic steering or the sport diff, which would just enhance the drive, I guess, a notch more. I am impressed that the air conditioning has got cold very quickly, which, given it is currently 28 degrees Celsius here, is quite pleasantly received, I can tell you that. But as we get moving, head out this way, we've got a pretty big bump in the road right here, so that's always a good way to test a car's suspension and see what it's like on a smoothness front. It wasn't bad, didn't jar at all. So we can get moving, don't have to press the throttle too far, good instant reaction, even in auto. You get some sound, probably slightly artificial sound, but I guess it's the sensation, isn't it, that it's doing something. And then we can put it through the different drive select modes. So let's go into dynamic. You can do individual and customize it. Dynamic will, of course, just make everything a little bit more sprightly and lively. Drop the gears manually, very quick shift. And then the pops and crackles that Audi are, I suppose, becoming a little bit synonymous for with all of the different models, whether it's the V10 in an R8 or apparently whether it's the SQ5. Just put my foot down a little bit, lots of torque, 500 Newton meters, good get up and go immediately. Handling and steering is quite sprightly as well. I think that's slightly surprising. Great visibility, the near borderless rear view mirror works very, very nicely for seeing everything that's going on around you. Door mirrors, good visibility. The opening for the rear window is large, so you feel like you can see around. I mean, it's a familiar shape, right? It's nothing fundamentally new and dramatic on that front. I like this little stretch of road here. Let's throw it a little bit harder around a roundabout and just see. I mean, yes, there's a bit of lean and roll, of course. I'm going quite tight around a corner here. And away we go. Yeah, that gets a move on quite decently, I'm not gonna lie. Nice. Okay, so I think it's one of those, the interior could probably be slightly nicer. I mean, it's very functional. It's not an overload of buttons. It's all quite, I guess, easy to find what you're after. And I really like, as I said before, the way when you just sort of hover on one of these buttons, it knows that you're coming for it and prepares the display in advance. Excuse me. But other than that, I feel like, other than the carbon, sorry, I feel that some of the trim could be slightly more refined and slightly nicer. Like this dashboard, for example, this isn't the best. The traditional slightly chromed elements are nice. The steering wheel's nice, has all the buttons to control various things. Slightly flat bottom, which is again an appreciated aspect. Seats are good, supportive, comfortable. Ride is very soft. I think the car starts, certainly the UK price is about £51,000, £51,300 I believe, and the price out here in the UAE is 249,000 dirhams. So yes, it's slightly on the expensive side, for sure. But well, I say expensive side, lots of these SUVs are becoming quite expensive. These smaller SUVs, this fits underneath the Q7, of course, but above the Q3, which is based on the smaller platform. I'm just kind of going backwards and forwards here, but good opportunity to just hear it a little bit, drive it, see what it's like. Let's pop it into comfort mode, testing things out really as I go and seeing what they're like. Should probably go back into automatic if I'm going to drive it in comfort. So it will shift up super early, drive very, very smoothly, have a nice soft feel to it. And yeah, I think really I'm looking forward to just jumping in the back and seeing what the room is there, because the roof line seems to slope down towards the back, which suggests there might be slightly less space than there perhaps otherwise could have been. But it's very light to steer. Feels like it could be slightly more on the steering front. I'm not quite sure how to properly articulate that, but all in all, I mean, it takes, like I said, like I keep saying, to be honest, it takes this formula and just enhances it. So let's head back, park up. I'm going to show you a little bit more around inside here and what you've got that you can press and play with. My aim here is to be informative and show you around the car. So let's start with the virtual cockpit, the driver display and what you're looking at. So this 12.3-inch display that you have in front of the driver's view that has at the moment the central rev counter. It's flanked by, well, the navigation screen, the trip information, but you can change all of this, temperatures, fuel gauge over on the right hand side, and it's controlled by the left hand controls on the steering wheel. So view is the main button that swizzles it backwards and forwards between having the large central rev counter or the two lower counters with the huge map view, and then you can cycle across to the right and bring up various different screens and information through your media, depending what you want to have loaded, your notes, and it's all can be connected and the like. So you've got different settings and screens and options you can go through. And if we go back, what do you do, this one, towards the home page. Oh no, I'm just playing, map colours. You can change everything. I think you kind of get the point there. So over to the left, you've got your memory seat functionality, door locks, your light controls, fog lights, mirror controls over here on the door, heated and folding. So if we do that, they will fold automatically, as if by magic. Apparently they stay out. Oh no, there we go, folding back out. Rear window child lock, rear child lock I should say. Your windows, button for the electronic power tailgate down here, some nice sport pedals down at the driver footwell and also for the footrest. You come over towards the right hand side, Audi S badging here, voice controls, a hotkey that you can control to do exactly what you would like it to do, media, volume, telephone, and there are the paddles on the back of the steering wheel, small little almost button-like paddles that you can control as well. So wipers on the right, lights on the left, cruise control down below on the left hand side as well, all as you'd expect. And you can set the cruise control as a limiter using the button on the top as well, should you prefer. No automatic steering column on this, traditional manual lever. Heading towards the centre, trip reset, air vents neatly integrated above this chrome piece that runs along the bottom. Close the vents, nice big hazard button, always a thing that's quite convenient to know where it is. Can't really miss that one, straight in the middle, nice and easy. We've talked a little bit about the climate control toggles and options down here. You can see that's all pretty self-explanatory. You can hotkey press back through the drive select modes using the buttons here, so you don't have to go the long way around, you can just get instantly to that. So we'll talk more about those in a second. Then you've got auto start stop, traction, parking sensors, hill descent control, which is nice. So if you're on a steep decline driving downhill, it can work effectively like cruise control, but braking cleverly between all the different wheels to control your speed. And it has slight torque vectoring by braking for cornering as well. So a pretty trick system overall. You can turn off the display if you'd prefer, and then down here you've got further controls again to go back through everything, so we can hit back to the main menu, but you can cycle through everything on that. 8 and a bit inch screen in the center, and then I mean, that's all self-explanatory. The Tiptronic system. Further back, you've got a storage bucket here that can fold back for some cup holders in front of it, and there's a button here for cooling and for heating your cup holders, which is nice to have on a Q5. Awesome. So that's an option. Tray above. Can open this up. Actually, that will slide right the way back there. Back in here, you've got your USB ports and your aux port. Stop start, of course. The engine's stopped at the moment. Decent door storage buckets. Oh, we've got the Bang & Olufsen sound system in here as well. But if I just show you on this side, nice big storage bucket space here. You could probably fit like a 2-litre bottle in there, I would think. Decent space. Glove box. And then quite nice padded supportive seats, which very comfortable, I must admit, and I quite like the centre stripe down the middle of them as well. I'll jump into the back in a second, but first let's have a quick look through the controls we've got on the display here. So if you were in car, let's say, and you want to customise your drive select, you can change various components and aspects of it. You've also got an ability to raise and lower. Oh, we can turn on all sorts of different things. Lovely. Raise and lower the car. Ah, look at that. You can see the degrees of descent and how you're steering and what suspension mode it's in. So by going into lift off-road, basically the car is sat up as high as it can go. These modes all, I guess, are fairly self-explanatory. You can tell what's going on between the different modes. Dynamic one for me on the road, but it has that capability should you want it. I think that's mostly what I can tell you about now, and the rest is all fairly self-explanatory in here. Everything you would expect to find on the car. You can have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Yes, I think you know the drill. So for the moment, let us stop the car. SQ5 Quattro. Open the door, step out, and we'll have a quick little look into the back of the car here. I'm going to take a seat just so I can see what the space is like. This is a bit plasticky on the back of the front seat, but we do have the blinds, which is nice, slightly shielding the view of the R8 just alongside us. Does the job pretty effectively. Tiny little rear windows back there. Actually, I'm about 1.80 m, just under. I fit in here. I've got not the most space in the world above me, but enough to be sat here. Not uncomfortably at all. And in the back you've also got it's a triple zone climate control, so the back has its own ability to customise temperature, an additional 12-volt socket underneath as well. The things you'd expect to have in the back, the child seat fittings, the rear armrest that has cup holders that fold out with a lovely over-engineered system there, or that can be used as a third seat. But it's a basically 4-seat configuration with the option of a third, should you wish to have it in the rear. So I think that's a pretty comprehensive look around the interior of Audi's SQ5. Another big storage bucket here in the Bang & Olufsen speakers. 20-inch wheel is standard. This is the optional 21. Distinct design, wearing Pirelli rubber, P0. One thing I don't like about the design, I'm not gonna lie. Well, let's start with something nice. Let's do a sandwich here. Spoiler's cool, the top of the rear window. What I don't like is these fake exhaust pipes. I'm sure you've seen them now, finished in the trim. It instinctively looks like the car has quad tailpipes when you look at the car, but those are actually purely cosmetic, and the real exhaust is under there somewhere. You can just see it tucking out in the corner, which I'm not sure I agree with. I understand to make it look sportier when it's not necessarily, but I think it's a little bit of an unusual quirk on the car that isn't my number one. Red brake calipers option on here, round to the front. Very open grille for the cooling side of things. Big radiator behind, additional airflow through the side radiators as well, at least on that side, and there as well, yeah, and park sensors as well, naturally. So there we go, a look around the Audi SQ5, the latest generation. Let me know your thoughts and comments, guys. Always interested to hear your feedback, what you think of the car, and if you're in the market for one of these, what are the things you like about it? What are the things you don't necessarily like that much? But as always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate your support. Thank you for being subscribed to this channel. Thank you to Audi Middle East for the opportunity to drive the SQ5 out here. That is it though for now. I will catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.